Hi everyone! This video should explain how to use the Locomotive Scroll library in Steroids for Elementor add-on, because as of version 1.7.3 you can enqueue 3 awesome and very useful JavaScript libraries. The Locomotive Scroll, GSAP, also known as the Green Sock Animation Platform, and the Scroll Trigger. So in this video I'll talk about the Locomotive Scroll exclusively, and the sequel video should bring some clarification on how all of these 3 libraries can work in a synergy and help you create some stunning scroll effects in Elementor. What is the Locomotive Scroll? Simply put together, it's a scroll library that provides smooth scrolling with support for parallax effects, toggling classes, and triggering event listeners when elements are in a viewport. I know that you might be confused with what I just said, however, soon you'll figure that it all comes down to a very simple task. The example page that you're looking at on the screen right now is available in my Gumroad shop for a small fee. Maybe you want to have it as a study material, but I'll start this tutorial with another page that is available for download as a training file, and it's free for everyone. As you can see, I have already prepared everything in order to save some time. There's nothing unusual on that page. We have a hero section, a few heading widgets, some text here and there, images, etc. etc. And if I preview the page in browser, it scrolls like any other page, no parallax, easing effects or whatsoever. As you already know, some browsers like Firefox do a crispier type of scroll, while others like Chrome or Safari tend to make bigger steps, so to speak. So let's see what it takes to replace that good old or bad old scrolling with something smoother, something that works smooth regardless any browser. First of all, if you want to use the Locomotive Scroll, you'll have to fire it up in the plugin settings. It can be found under the Manage JS Libraries section. It's a new section. You can enable or disable the library per device as well, and I guess it's up to you to decide whether you're going to use it or not. In general, I haven't noticed anything strange going on regardless device, so I suppose that the Locomotive Scroll can be declared as device friendly. The multiplier defines the scrolling speed in a sense that the greater the value, the faster will be the scrolling. So I'm going to use something like 0.8. And the last option, if enabled, provides some sort of a remedy for the viewport that's been resized, because I've noticed some gaps in the page bottom going on upon resize. Anyhow, my advice is to keep it on. It might not be a perfect solution, but in the same time, it can't do any harm. And I'll leave the GSAP and the scroll trigger inactive until the next video. All I have to do now is to save settings and get back to my training page to see what difference the Locomotive Scroll makes. Of course, I have to refresh the page first, or otherwise my new settings won't take the place. As you can see, the page starts to scroll smoothly and it already looks much more interesting. So this is how your page should look like or scroll like when you do nothing else but enable the Locomotive Scroll. Let's go to Elementor Editor now to spice everything up even more. You're going to learn how to deploy some data attributes and how to make your columns and widgets move with the lag or the parallax, and also reveal as they come into view. Locomotive Scroll works through specific data attributes, and elements with the particular data attributes are capable to toggle classes or trigger event listeners when they are in a viewport. You can learn more about all available data attributes if you go to the Locomotive Scroll GitHub page, and you can find the link in the description of this video. Before I continue, there are 2 very important things to be mentioned or to remember. The first one, never use Locomotive Scroll and Elementor's motion effects together. Both of these are affecting position of either the section, column or widget, thus the conflict is inevitable. There won't be errors, but rather a miscalculated position of the element being affected. Second, the data scroll container and data scroll section attributes have been added automatically for you upon the Locomotive Scroll library activation. Do not use them in Elementor or you'll end up pulling your hair out and yelling and cussing and whatnot. Every other attribute that you can see on the list can be used at will. So with Elementor, you can apply these data attributes to either the section, column or any available widget. The option can be found under the Advanced tab, Locomotion panel, and it's only visible if the Locomotive Scroll library has been enabled in first place. Adding the attribute is as simple as adding the key value pair separated by the pipe character. The attribute may or may not have a value assigned, It depends on the attribute purpose. You can figure that out on the Locomotive Scroll GitHub info page. Okay, let's start with the hero section. That section doesn't scroll into view, it only shows up when the page loads, and I just want to make it fade in initially on a page load. So I'll highlight this section and then open the locomotion panel. First, I'm going to add the data scroll attribute, which doesn't require any value. The purpose of the data scroll attribute is to tell Locomotive Scroll to keep an eye on that element, and whenever it comes into view, whenever it becomes visible, the new custom class name can be assigned to it. And vice versa, whenever it's gone, the custom class name can be removed, if that's what's been instructed by using another data attribute. I'm going to show you how exactly in just a minute. There are 5 different ready-made fade effects available for use with the locomotion. It is fade up, fade down, fade left, fade right, and a common fade in effect. So with the hero section highlighted, I'll expand the advanced panel and I'm going to enter effect fade in into the CSS classes input field. That custom class name represents the initial state of my target element, be it a section, column, or any other widget. It'll be active whenever the target element is off the viewport. After I update settings and make the preview, my hero section should be fully transparent because of that class, that custom class. I just wanted to show you what happens when the custom class effect fade in is used without its counterpart. So there's a counterpart class too. Now, in order to make my hero section fade for real, I have to instruct Locomotive Scroll to append the counterpart class immediately after it comes into view. So I'll go back to the locomotion panel and use another data scroll attribute named class. So I just have to type in data scroll class, followed by the pipe character, and then fade in. Fade in is another custom class name that's supposed to get the opacity of my hero section back to 100% whenever it comes into view. In order to be able to understand the mechanism or what these classes actually do in the background, you have to be familiar with the CSS, of course. Let's save the page and let's see how that fade-in effect looks like. The whole point of this custom class name switching is that you can also create your own effects. Elementor PRO has that custom CSS panel, and you can create or design your effects without leaving the Elementor comfort zone. Otherwise, the WordPress customizer and its additional CSS panel can do the job as well. As you can see, everything is okay. The initial fade-in animation works right, and if you didn't notice, it's triggered only once. It works only upon the page load or refresh. But what if I want to trigger that custom class name switching every time my hero section comes into view? Luckily, there's another attribute named repeat. That's another instruction to the Locomotive Scroll, which literally says that whenever the target element comes into view, append the particular class name to it. And then, whenever the target element goes off the view, remove the custom class name. That's why I have added data scroll repeat below the data scroll class. According to the element attribute specification, true must be assigned to the repeat attribute value. Let's save the work and see the result. My hero section should now fade in every time it gets visible instead of just once. Repeat attribute is not a must, it's actually supposed to be used at will. Okay, everything looks nice. If you wonder why Locomotive Scroll and all of these effects don't work in Elementor Editor, believe me, it creates a big mess. Don't even think about it, let's just keep everything away from the editor. Alright, what can we do next? Let's try to slow down an entire text block as we scroll. I want the background move at a normal pace and in the same time slow down entire text block. So I'll highlight the column first, open my locomotion panel. I'm going to type in standard data scroll attribute. And after that, I'm going to add another attribute named data scroll speed and assign the value of -2. It says that my column should scroll twice as slow compared to the regular scroll rate. And I'm going to save the page and preview. Okay, that's the result. That's the whole point of the speed attribute. In case I didn't mention, The rule of thumb is to put each new attribute to the new line. So be sure to follow the rule, or otherwise the things won't work. As you can see, all the text is now scrolled as a group. But I could also apply the same attributes to each widget individually, maybe with a little speed offset, and thus achieve a different visual result. Let's make the hero headline move sideways as I scroll. I can do that as well, even though the headline is already being moved as a part of the bigger group. All I have to do is to use the different data scroll attribute, which is named direction. First, I'm going to add a standard data scroll, as usually. I'm going to hit the new line, then type in data scroll direction, followed by the pipe character, and I'm going to assign the value horizontal to it. And at the end, I'm going to give it some speed. I want to make it move right to left. That's why the speed value must be a positive number. The opposite direction requires negative values. Something like speed of 2 should be okay. Let's see how it turns out. Alright. Now you can say, why the heck my headline sticks out that much? Well, you gotta understand that the position of headline is being calculated, it's not static anymore, and it's relative to the viewport size. So it's kinda okay, because it cannot be otherwise. So far you have learned 5 different element attributes. Even though there's more, I will not mention all of them. I wanted to mention the big 5, or the most useful ones. From now on, I'll speed everything up. I'm gonna handle other elements and widgets on a page in a similar fashion. Some of them gonna end up rushing, some of them maybe slow down. I'm speeding all up to save some time, but just like I already said, you'll be able to download a training file and study everything at your own pace. Okay, the last thing to learn is how to create the anchor links, or how to scroll to desired position on a page by clicking on a target link. You have to know that you cannot use standard anchor links with the Locomotive Scroll. It just doesn't work because the Locomotive Scroll is literally hijacking the normal scroller. So here's the workaround. Let's say that my hero section button has to trigger the jump to the banner section when clicked. First, I have to add the custom ID to the banner section. I'll highlight the section. Then I go to the Advanced tab, Advanced panel, and I'm going to enter banner into the CSS ID input field. The ID can be any alphanumeric combo, and the only thing that you have to take care of is uniqueness. It means that you cannot have 2 or more elements using the same ID on a page. Now I'll highlight the button, and under the content tab, I'm going to enter hashtag dummy into the link input field. Why did I do that? The whole point of this action is to avoid an empty anchor link error. The hashtag dummy actually doesn't exist as an element ID or the anchor point on this page at all, and which is perfectly fine because the goal is to use a non-existent keyword here. Remember that. Next, I'm going to hit that cog icon, the link options, and I'll type in required custom attribute, which is data jump to, then the pipe character, followed by the hashtag banner, which is the actual ID of our banner section. Let's save changes and preview. So in general, exactly the same rule with respect to creating the anchor links applies to any element or the widget whose options allow the linkage. It can be a column, heading widget, image, maybe the text editor text link, anything that you can add required data attribute to. And I guess that's pretty much it. In case I forgot something, I'll tend to mention it in this video sequel. At the end, in case you plan to buy a copy of Elementor Pro for yourself or your client, please use my own affiliate link. It's in the description of this video, because that's how you can support my plugin financially without actually spending a dime. Feel free to comment, let me know what you think about this new feature and what other JS libraries you'd like to see or have available in Elementor. Stay well, peace and love.